Hello again, everyone. Welcome back. In this technical analysis of the stock market video, we're going to take a look at the S&P 500, specifically the SPY, the ETF, then check in on the semiconductors, FXI, which is the China Hong Kong, what I call China Hong Kong, because half the index is made up of large caps on Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Check on the Brazil ETF, EWZ, and Bitcoin, the Bitcoin ETF, GBTC. Okay, so for this last week, a little bit of a move up to the upside, but pretty subdued. We had 3.5 days of trading. The Dow was up 152 points on the week, a little inside, slightly up candle. The S&P up 40 points, same kind of configuration, just a little inside the range of the prior week, slightly up, a move on the candle, and the same thing over here on NDX, up 184 points. Let's go back to the home page. Let's take a look at the SPY. I'm going to start off with the moving average view here. We were down $6.33 on Friday, closing below the range of the past 2 days, but up 386 on the week because same picture as what I just showed you on the SPX, right? So what I've got my eye on here is this post-election gap. All right, this has still not been closed. It's been closed by the other three major indices. The industrials, the Nasdaq 100, the Qs, and the Russell 2000, but not on the S&P 500. Now to close this, you're going to have to come down to about 577. And then if we break that, doesn't hold, I would say the next major support area is down here at 570. So right now, the LE wave picture I've got is that we are in a fourth wave, for what I'm calling a fourth intermediate wave, which I'm expecting more correction, more choppiness, expecting a sideways move. We had a pretty deep zigzag for wave two. So we'll see how long this develops and in what kind of form does it take. Right now, when you look at the daily and what we've got, let me kind of zoom in a little bit. This looks like a first wave move down here in a deep wave two pullback. So with the close that we got on Friday, closing below the range of the last 2 days, it could be the start of a third and more powerful move to the downside. That's what it's possible, okay? But again, when you're in a fourth wave like this and you're expecting sideways, it could be a triangle, it could be a flat, which is a big wide-ranging type of corrective move. It can be a combination of those. So it can be a variety of things. So we'll just have to keep an eye on, just what develops in here. But again, that's what I'm looking for. Why do I put the wave 4 down here? Because many times when you get the correction like this, it'll correct down to the low of the prior fourth wave of one lower degree, and that is this one right here with the low down around 511. So we'll see if that develops. I'm just putting it there as kind of a target, just a placeholder. It'll be key to see what happens with the price action as we go forward. Now, one thing I do want to show you, let me see if I've got it on here, is a bigger pattern that's also at play here in the S&P. And here it is. So this wedge pattern is still sitting there, okay? It still looks like a wedge. It's starting to act like a wedge. You came down out of that wedge pretty strong. And what did we do? We snapped back up almost in here. Actually, I think what happened is I meant to have the semi-log on here. There we go. Because I drew the trend lines with semi-log, and if I don't have it on semi-log, then they're going to be off. So here's the picture. Breakdown, come back on a pullback, a kiss goodbye, and then all of a sudden, now we close below a 2-day trading range. Could be really interesting. And there is the possibility of a head and shoulders pattern developing also. So, we need to keep that on our radar. Here's how it looks when you go to the SPX. Same exact pattern. Okay, so that is sitting out there. And if, the classic wedge play is that this rapidly moves down to the beginning of the wedge pattern. So I would say if this is going to play out, we'd come down into this zone right here. You know, we'll see if we get there. That's 510 to 540. So that's where we sit with this look, this pattern, and I'll be watching the LA wave counts also. And of course, short-term wise, we've got this 577 target. Okay, let's take a look at SMH. All right, let me pull that up. I've got that right here. Here's the daily, and here's the weekly. Now, this is my, what I call traditional, one of my traditional views, actually. I don't have, it's only got the one indicator on here. But it does look kind of messy with all the moving averages. Everything's kind of overlapping each other as you get this kind of sideways choppiness in here. This darker trend line is 144, so it's my version of the 150 minute trend, or in that range. I'm using the Fibonacci numbers for my simple moving averages. So I've got the 21 simple, the 55 simple, and the 144 simple. I basically alternate. So 21, skip 34, go to 55, skip 89, go to 144. So that's what I do. Gives me a little bit perspective on what's happening in the trend, that type of thing. Let me take a look at the blue. This is what I'll look at. We've got some ranges in here. Let's start off with the weekly. So you can see the range has been in since July to that August low, 283.07 to 249, and we're just slightly above the midpoint of that range. We're sitting at 247, 248.40 actually. This kind of moved around a little bit in the aftermarket. So the close on Friday, 248.40. So it's just slightly above the midpoint. And when you take a look at the daily, we got a pretty tight little range in here too. So we got a range within the range, right? So here is the October high, and then you come down and you get a low reading here in November 27th. Here's the range, and here's the midpoint of that, and we're just sitting right about in the middle of this. So no breakout really either way at this point in time. We'll see where this decides to go. So that's okay. Now I want to take a look at FXI. Let me switch over here to the ETF area. I want to take a look at FXI, because one thing I noted, in the emerging market area, FXI is one of the best performers on the year, actually. Let me pull this up. Right here, and then we're going to take a look at Brazil, which is the worst performer on the year, at least in this little subset of ETFs I look at in the emerging market area. I know India has been very, very strong too, but it's interesting that, let me look over here at another area. The India ETF is actually up 8.8% on the year. China FXI is up 28.4% on the year. Pretty incredible. So this last week, up 1.4%. But when you look at a daily chart on FXI, that's terrible. I wouldn't, there's no way I'd want to trade this. Look how gappy this is. In terms of looking at the daily, I'd look at the weekly and see what's going on here with the weekly chart. It looks a little bit cleaner in terms of the price continuity, etc. So right now, I'm not in this. If I was in it, I'd be watching the low of the week of December 15th, and I'd probably have a little stop right below this low, because this should hold. This looks like it's trying to trend and continue to move to the upside. We had this little pullback after this low right here. This low should hold. If it doesn't, that's not a good sign, at least short-term wise anyway. So right now, this looks like it's trying to move to the upside. We'll see what kind of continuation we get out of FXI. Up 1.4% on Friday, or for the last week. and up 28.4% on the year. Now, let's take a look at EWZ right above it. This is hard down. I mean, and it is oversold, but when you look at this, we're still not getting divergence in here. I mean, this plunge right here went to a lower low reading. The DI minus went to a higher reading. I mean, that's not a sign of positive turning around at this point. And of course, you're not seeing anything with the price action either. All of this trading, literally the last 6 days, have been within the range of the December 8th price action. When you look over here on the weekly chart, you get a similar type picture. I don't know if you're hearing that noise in the background, but we got thunderstorms rolling around in the area right now. So I apologize for that background noise. One of the things I wanted to look at here, here's the weekly view, and you'd sit back and say, well, what's going on with this? I pulled up and made a monthly view of this ETF, EWZ. And look what's going on with this from a monthly view. So here's the the October 2002 low. The May of 2008 high. Notice how they peaked after the Dow Industrials and the S&P 500, which peaked in October of 2007. Then you had this downward sloping channel that's underway. Here's a low that occurred in 2015. Here's the March 2020 low. And when I look at that low and I look at the low that occurred here in August of 2015 and a couple of the closes, I believe that 2014, $20.14 is a key support area. If we close below that, I think this is going to continue down and the odds would favor it trying to test the bottom of the channel. We'll see if that happens or not. But right now, this is not a very good picture on Brazil. So that's where we sit with that ETF. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. Okay, here's the daily and weekly view of GBTC, which is the Bitcoin ETF. It's down 88 cents on Friday, down $1.59 for the week. It's the same kind of picture that you get if you pull up the Bitcoin futures. I mean, here's the Bitcoin futures, and it's the same exact picture. Okay, so pretty close anyway. So right now, to me, I'm expecting more corrective activity in here on Bitcoin. I just don't think this is done. When I look at the Elliott wave picture, here's the bigger picture on the left in the weekly view. I think we're in a fifth primary wave up to complete a 5-wave move, which will complete one bigger cycle in here. And so right now, within that fifth wave, where are we? I think we completed the intermediate wave 3 at the high in here on December 17th, so mid-December. And I now think we're chopping sideways. So I think we've got more choppiness to go. Yeah, we're down into the prior fourth wave in here. But I just think when I look at this wave 2 over here, it took 8 days. I think we're going to get more than that in terms of the corrective move. And what I've done is I've done a projection, okay? You take a line from top of 1 to the top of 3, projected from the bottom of 2 as a target for 4. Okay, well, that's a target. It doesn't have to stop there. It could go, it could just keep chopping around and come all the way back down into this territory if it wanted to, or close the gap. So right now, we'll just keep an eye on what kind of wave structure is developing. We don't have a whole lot to work with. But again, as I've mentioned earlier about the fourth wave, you can kind of morph into a variety of sideways, choppy type patterns in here. Okay, that's the picture on GBTC, on Bitcoin. So right now, expecting a little more choppiness sideways. Okay, that's it for this video. If you felt like it was helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, hit that little subscriber button. And if you'd like more of this information, head on over to joehenches.net. All right, everyone, have a great week. And if I don't talk to you before New Year's, Happy New Year, everyone. Hope you have a wonderful New Year. And here's to a great 2025.